Teletech Customer Care Management Philippines Incorporated, Petitioner versus Mario Gerona, Jr., Respondent. Gerona. 219166, November 10, 2021. Facts. Petitioner Teletech is a domestic corporation engaged in business process outsourcing. Teletech answers queries and concerns in behalf of their clients, such as Accenture and Telstra. On July 21, 2008, Respondent Gerona was hired as one of Teletech's technical support representatives and was assigned to the Accenture account. By January 17, 2009, Gerona became a regular employee. On October 30, 2009, Teletech's Human Resource Office informed Gerona that he would be transferred to the Telstra account upon successfully passing the training, assessment and examination. Teletech gave him a copy of the transfer agreement and informed him that his refusal to take the examinations would result in the termination of his services on the ground of redundancy. However, Gerona refused to undergo training and take the examinations under the belief that he was entitled to security of tenure. Thereafter, Gerona's supervisor issued him a memorandum informing him that the technical support representatives who declined their transfer to the Telstra account were no longer required to log in their system since their respective team leaders will take care of their attendance instead until the redundancy offer is finalized. On November 17, 2009, Gerona received a notice dated November 16, 2009 informing him of his dismissal due to redundancy effective December 16, 2009. Through his counsel, he sent a demand letter to Teletech asserting that there was no redundancy in the company considering that they were even continuously hiring other technical support representatives. Moreover, as a regular employee, he should no longer be required to take another examination to prove his qualifications. On January 7, 2010, Gerona filed a complaint for illegal dismissal with a prayer for back wages and reinstatement or separation pay in lieu thereof, with claims for moral damages, exemplary damages, and attorney's fees against Teletech, its executive site director Terry Lemke, senior operations managers Ben Belisado and Fred Dunca, and human capital delivery site manager Joel Go, before the arbitration branch of the NLRC in Bacolod City. Issue: whether or not there was a valid dismissal of employee Gerona on account of redundancy. Held. As to the legality of Gerona's dismissal on the ground of redundancy, we find the evidence presented by Teletech insufficient to support its claim. Redundancy exists when an employee's services are in excess of what is reasonably demanded by the actual requirements of the business. To successfully invoke a valid dismissal due to redundancy, there must be 1. A written notice served on both the employees and the Department of Labor and Employment at least 1 month prior to the intended date of termination of employment. 2. Payment of separation pay equivalent to at least 1 month pay for every year of service. 3. Good faith in abolishing the redundant positions. And 4. Fair and reasonable criteria in ascertaining what positions are to be declared redundant and accordingly abolished. Moreover, the company must provide substantial proof that the services of the employees are in excess of what is required of the company. After careful evaluation of the records, the court finds that the evidence presented by Teletech fails to convincingly show the alleged decline in Accenture's business and that the expected volume of calls for its Accenture account would not materialize. In other words, redundancy was not proven. Other than the bare assertion of human capital delivery site manager Joel Go, no other evidence was offered to prove the alleged low volume of calls or how the officers of Accenture and Teletech came to a conclusion that its business was slowing down. In the case at hand, Teletech should have presented any document proving the decline in Accenture's volume of calls for the past months, or affidavits of the Accenture and Teletech officers who determined that business was slowing down and their basis thereof. Unfortunately, Teletech only relied heavily on the self-serving affidavit of its human capital delivery site manager. While Teletech submitted other documents, such pieces of evidence hardly proved the fact of redundancy. Teletech also claims that the offer to transfer Gerona to the Telstra account serves as a badge of good faith. However, this court cannot subscribe to such assertion when the transfer is actually prejudicial to the Gerona. A careful review of the transfer agreement shows that an employee who fails to pass the trainings will be dismissed. The agreement stated, to quote, "While this new opportunity was given to you in exercise of management prerogative to exhaust means and ways to retain your services with Teletech, successful passing of the ACE and product training are expected. After having acknowledged and consented in this transfer, you are expected to attend the scheduled training and nesting period since the same is a mandatory requirement for movement. Failure to successfully pass these trainings will be a justifiable ground for dismissal. Gerona was a regular employee, hence, he was entitled to security of tenure. by requiring him to pass additional trainings and examination as a condition to retain his employment under the pain of dismissal. Teletech disregarded his right to security of tenure. Teletech's failure to prove redundancy, coupled with the imposition of a prejudicial condition to retain employment, rendered the offer of transfer invalid. For a transfer not to be considered a constructive dismissal, the employer must be able to show that such transfer is not unreasonable, inconvenient, or prejudicial to the employee, nor does it involve a demotion in rank or a diminution of his salaries, privileges, and other benefits. Failure of the employer to overcome this burden of proof, the employee's demotion shall no doubt be tantamount to unlawful constructive dismissal. Having been illegally dismissed, Gerona is entitled to reinstatement and payment of full back wages. To conclude, Teletech failed to prove that Gerona was validly dismissed. In termination cases, the employer bears the burden of proving that the employee's dismissal was for a valid and authorized cause. Consequently, an employer's failure to prove that the dismissal was valid renders the dismissal illegal. Gerona is thus entitled to full back wages from the time he was illegally dismissed and to separation pay in lieu of reinstatement for every year of service. Wherefore, the instant petition for review on certiorari is denied for lack of merit. The January 30, 2014 decision and June 26, 2015 resolution of the Court of Appeals in CHR SP No. 06234 are hereby affirmed with modification in that Teletech Customer Care Management Philippines Inc. is hereby ordered to pay Mario Gerona